Welcome back, people, to We Talk Boxing. And today I'm going to be giving you guys my pre-fight breakdown between David Adeleye versus Dmytro Bezus, which is taking place on the 17th of February this year, live on BT Sports. So, this fight will see both boxers go into the fight with good boxing records, such as David Adeleye. He's currently 10 wins with 9 KOs to his name, whilst his opponent, Dmytro Bezus, is currently 10 wins with 5 KOs to his name. So both boxers are currently unbeaten. You know what I mean? So they've got something to fight for in this fight. So it kind of makes the fight a little bit interesting. But I still kind of believe that, you know what I mean, David Adelaye's team wouldn't kind of give him a banana slip up at this stage. And that they've probably seen something, or, you know what I mean, had some sort of, you know what I mean, indications that although Dmytro Bezus is undefeated, that their man should beat him and should come out of this fight with a win to his name. So, you know what I mean, Dmytro Bezus, you know what I mean, is currently ranked number 6 as the best, you know what I mean, Ukrainian boxer out of 13, I think it is. And he's 153rd in the world rankings as well. So again, he's nobody to kind of, you know what I mean, be shining the bright light on. But he's currently, you know what I mean, as I said, he's undefeated in 10 fights, and he's trying to make a name for himself. And he started his career quite late as well. I think it was 2020. So, you know what I mean, he's still, as you could kind of say it, up and coming, similar to David Adeleye. And what's quite importantly, you know what I mean, he's only had 3 fights outside of his, you know what I mean, adopted nation of Austria. All the other fights have been in Austria. I think he's fought once in Turkey and maybe twice in Ukraine, something like that. Um, and again, his opponents, I don't know any of them. You know what I mean? So they're pretty much all unknowns to myself, to be fair. But some of you guys in the comments might know a few of his opponents. So David Adeleye, you know what I mean? As I said, he is pretty much, you know what I mean? He's had all of his fights in the UK, and you know what I mean. As I said, he's got a pretty good KO rating as it stands, 90%. You know what I mean, according to BoxRec, 90%. So that's very high. Do you know what I mean? So again, he will be considered the favorite going into this fight. And according to BoxRec, he's currently ranked number 13th as the 13th best boxer in the UK, and that's out of 57. Where he's 93rd in the world as well, in the world rankings as well. So again, you know what I mean, his world rankings ain't very good, but he's up and coming. Do you know what I mean? He started his career, I think it was in 2019, so it was in the pandemic. So, do you know what I mean? And he didn't really fight much last year either. I think he only had 2 fights. So, hopefully this year we could potentially see him a little bit more active. You know what I mean? For me personally, I'd probably like him to have maybe 3 to 4 fights this year, and then maybe next year pushing on to something a bit more convincing, maybe a British title or something. Who knows, really? But as I said, do you know what I mean? When looking at both their records and trying to see, you know what I mean, any sort of opponents that I know about, Dmytro Bezus, don't really know any of his opponents. Whereas Adeleye, do you know what I mean? One name kind of stands out, and you know what I mean, of his opponents, and that is Kamil Sokolowski. Now, you know what I mean? I've seen Sokolowski fight once. I think it was against Nathan Gorman, and he put up a good performance. Do you know what I mean? I think Gorman in that fight, I can't remember if it was the first or second fight. You know what I mean? He took Gorman to points. You know what I mean? It was a pretty tough fight for Gorman. But Kamil Zakolowski, you know what I mean? He's shared the ring with some big names in the heavyweight division, such as, you know what I mean, David Price, Cash Ali, Nathan Gorman twice, Nick Webb, Lucas Brown, Fraser Clark, Martin McCauley, Dillian White, and probably maybe the biggest of all, Otto Wardling. Do you know what I mean? So he's been in there with some big names. So again, if Adeleye has, you know what I mean, stopped him, do you know what I mean? That's some good going really, because some of these guys that I've mentioned haven't stopped. You know what I mean? Kamil, sorry, Sokolowski. So who knows really what could be made there really. So yeah. So the physical stats between both boxers, you know what I mean, according to BoxRec, suggest that David Adeleye goes into this fight being a shorter man. You know what I mean? He's currently 6'4" compared to his opponent who's 6'6.5". His opponent is also the older man, being 33 years of age compared to Adeleye, who is 26. Both boxers are unorthodox in stance. Do you know what I mean? But the biggest punching power goes to David Adeleye with 90% compared to his opponent who has a 50% KO rating. Now, both guys started their professional career near enough the same time. Adeleye in 2019 and his opponent obviously in 2020 during the pandemic, both guys. So for me, you know what I mean, this should be a good test for David Adeleye because he's fighting against someone who, you know what I mean, has something to lose, and that's his unbeaten record. Do you know what I mean? And he's got a fairly decent KO rate as well, 50%. So again, he can punch. You know what I mean? He might not be able to punch all the time, but he can punch. He can surprise people and knock them out. But I think for me, do you know what I mean? A lot of the time, David Adeleye's opponents have been pretty much labelled, you know what I mean, pushovers. So I think this will be slightly different to that. I think maybe the first round or two, do you know what I mean? I think Adeleye going to be a little bit cautious of his opponent. But after that, once he kind of works him out, then he'll probably start looking for the big shots. And what will be interesting and what will be the game changer in this fight is to kind of see how his opponent obviously takes the shots. If he's kind of stepping back all the time or, you know what I mean, having that grimace on his face, then the fight's going to be early. You know what I mean? It's going to be a pretty much an early night. And David Adeleye will probably knock him out quite easily and convincingly. But if his opponent does manage to probably, you know what I mean, handle David Adeleye's power, then this could potentially go to the cards. Do you know what I mean? But this will be interesting. As I said, it's his first real test, David Adeleye. So, you know what I mean, for me, I like to see how he kind of comes out against this. But as I said a few moments ago, you know what I mean, for me, I'd like to see David Adeleye have maybe 3 to 4 fights this year to be very active. And then hopefully next year, you know what I mean, push on to bigger and better things. But again, I do feel that his promotion team, you know what I mean, won't stick him in there with any sort of killers at this stage. So I do believe it's going to be a straightforward victory for David Adeleye. And if this is the banana skin, then his team have something to answer for because he doesn't really need that at this stage. And yes, he probably needs just a few more bombs to kind of be fighting in the ring, gaining that experience, gaining that confidence, you know what I mean, and then progressing and pushing on to the bigger and better fighters of the heavyweight division. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe, like and comment for more boxing related content. Bless.